Right here in Illinois, in this Senate race, two groups funded and advised by Karl Rove have outspent the Democratic Party 2-1 in an attempt to beat Alexei. 2-1. Funded and advised by Karl Rove. Just this week, we learned that one of the largest groups paying for these ads regularly takes in money from foreign sources. So the question for the people of Illinois is, are you going to let special interests from Wall Street and Washington and maybe places beyond our shores come to this state and tell us who our senators should be? No.
President Obama stumping for Alexei Giannoulias, the Democratic candidate for Obama's old seat in Illinois, earlier this month. The president made note of the fact that Mr. Giannoulias is one of the many Democrats under siege from outside interest groups in this election. The so-called super PACs have spent over $8 million campaigning on behalf of the Republican Senate candidate in Illinois, Mark Kirk. One of the most prolific Kirk supporters, the Karl Rove-backed Crossroads GPS. And according to the nonpartisan campaign finance watchdog group, the Sunlight Foundation, Crossroads GPS has spent a whopping $3.4 million in just the last 20 days on opposition media against Mr. Giannoulias. $3.4 million in anonymous donations. And that's just in the 22 days since President Obama himself called them out on it. Joining us now for the interview is the recipient of all that opposition, the Democratic candidate for U.S. Senate from Illinois, Alexei Giannoulias. Thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.
So Crossroads GPS, American Crossroads, have spent more than $5.5 million against your campaign since September. Chamber of Commerce has spent $1.5 million against you in the last month. How has that affected the tenor of the race?
Well, let me just say that in no other state in the country is there a more stark choice between two candidates. I am very proud to be the first candidate to run for the U.S. Senate in Illinois history not to take money from federal lobbyists and corporate PACs. I thought it was important to send a message that we have to end the power and ability of special interests to control legislation in Washington, D.C. Meanwhile, the Wall Street Journal called my opponent a pig at the trough, one of the most prolific special interest fundraisers in the history of the U.S. Congress. Now Karl Rove and the Chamber have come in and spent about $10 million in secret money, where you don't know where it's coming from, what country, and in what amounts, to try and take President Obama's Senate seat. And it's pretty simple, Chris, it's pretty simple. Mark Kirk helped George Bush and Karl Rove wreck this economy, and now Karl Rove is repaying the favor to Congressman Kirk.
Mr. Giannoulias, do you think this is a prestige thing for these groups? Do they really just dislike you? Why is so much money being targeted there?
Well, I like to think it's not a personal dislike. I will tell you, again, Congressman Kirk has voted for every single one of the Bush-Rove budgets, which have really destroyed this middle class that has brought this country to its knees. And now Karl Rove is repaying the favor. They want Mark Kirk to win, and then he will be bought and paid for by the special interests, and he will be beholden to them, continue to be beholden to them for a very long time. And I got to tell you, that's what people are sick and tired of in Washington, D.C. And I think the ability of the secret money to come in flies in the spirit, flies in the face of what this democracy and this country was built on. I think Citizens United was a step backwards for this country, and that's why I think, you know, we're still going to win this race. But again, millions of dollars from money we don't know, we have no idea where it's even coming from. That's wrong.
Let's talk for a second about solutions. If you were elected to the United States Senate, your colleague in Illinois, Dick Durbin, is the sponsor of Fair Elections Now Act that would really be one of the most sort of far-reaching reforms of the way that we finance elections in this country. Is that something that you would be a co-sponsor of starting day one in January, were you to be elected?
Absolutely. Campaign finance reform is incredibly important to me. But again, I'm not just, talking the talk. Not only did I end pay-to-play in the state treasurer's office my first day in office, but again, I made a pledge not to take money from federal lobbyists and corporate PACs, the first candidate to ever do that from Illinois. And has it put us at a significant fundraising disadvantage? Absolutely. Is it the right thing to do? Absolutely. And I think we need people to stand up, to step up, and to be leaders on campaign finance reform, on filibuster reform. We have to change D.C. politics as usual in order to turn this economy around and turn this country around. I really believe that.
I'm glad you mentioned filibuster reform, because before I let you go, I want to get you on the record on that. Do you think the filibuster has been overused, and do you support a move, whether it's in the Rules Committee or it's something done through statute, to change the way the filibuster is currently operating? Is that something you're going to pursue if you're elected?
Absolutely. Now, you know, there's not even a filibuster. Now it's the threat of a filibuster destroys legislation. Take the Disclose Act, for example. That should have been a no-brainer. That should have passed easily. And the fact that it didn't says something about the way the U.S. Senate works. So I would unequivocally be in favor of filibuster reform. I think it's important. That, along with campaign finance reform, needs to be at the forefront of what takes place with the next Congress.
Alexi Giannoulias, who is running as a Democrat for President Obama's old Senate seat in Illinois, thank you so much for your time tonight. I know you're very busy. I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Thank you very much.